Hey YouTube, Fohnzii here, coming at you with another episode of Journey of a Grandmaster. In this episode, I wanted to take the time to discuss with you all why being average is a good thing. I recently had the best session of my close to 600 game journey so far. I went 8-2, and it felt like my fingers were imbued with magic, everything was clicking pretty well, and I was able to think and respond better than I normally would. This ended with me having my peak MMR after the session sitting around 3430. Since then, I've peaked at 3469. My average MMR had increased by about 200 points in a 2 to 3 week span. This session, however, is not representative of my true skill, in my opinion. The reason I say this is because this is my best session thus far by a large margin. For most sessions, I end up with a 50 to 60% win rate. Maybe I go 6-4, or I go 5-5 sometimes, or maybe I even go 3-7. So if I were to perform at my absolute best every session, then it would no longer be my best, it would just become my average performance. It's like saying Flash, the Brood War player, always performs at his best, but in reality, Flash at his average is just the best. And when he performs at his best, then he becomes even more untouchable. I wanted to make this episode because I've had this constant pressure on myself and from my peers or parents to perform at my best when it came to baseball. It ate away at my soul when I did have an outing where I'd walk out batters, give up hits on an 0-2 count, or I'd pop up on a 3-0 count when hitting. As is the case with most of us, we share similar experiences throughout our life. We all have experienced external and internal pressure for certain activities. Maybe we put a lot of pressure on ourselves when speaking to someone we're romantically interested in, or we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to deliver the most impeccable presentation ever for the higher ups at your company. If you're younger, then you grew up with the colossal boom of esports, and you might see your peers blossoming into YouTube gaming stars, or they've gotten a scholarship to play in a university. If you're competitive, this might make you feel like you're lagging behind and are untalented. Or maybe in the next life, you'll get all the glory. But I'm here to tell you this is just a lie that you've constructed in your mind to stop you from reaching and struggling to get to your best potential.
Bro, I literally said to fucking make the roaches.
Our best potential is something that happens from getting 1% better every day. This could be the smallest things like fixing your sleep schedule or your diet or getting your workouts in consistently. It could be reducing stress from strained relationships or just knowing when to let yourself take it easy. This stuff all has an impact on our improvement. We cannot get consistently better if we do not have the necessary ingredients in place in order to allow ourselves to learn and develop good habits of practice, analysis, critical thinking, etc. So Fohnzii, should I not try to perform at my best? No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't try to do something that's out of your control. You can feel like you're at your best, and there are definitely things that I mentioned previously that could make you feel like you're going to perform at your best. But there are far too many variables to account for in our lives to make sure we actually perform at our best. The day of a big tournament, you could get bad news, and you'll play that tournament with this bad news in your brain and in your heart. Although you might have done everything in your power to allow yourself to feel the best, you will likely not perform your best. Thus, it is important that we put in the work to increase our average. You can be a first-round pick in the NBA and absolutely crumble when you get to the big stage. These people have enormous expectations for themselves, and others put it on them too. The pressure to perform at their best can be so great that it causes them to shut down almost entirely, and instead of being able to perform at their current average level of skill, they instead get even worse. So the expectation of performing at their best is actually detrimental and might be causing them to get worse. It's kind of like the saying that a friend of mine would say all the time when it came to Path of Exile. And I've heard similar things elsewhere too. It goes, if every unique was good, then none would be. It's this balance of maintaining a standard. If you perform to the standard, then you are performing at an average. I almost feel like I'm repeating myself, but I think it's such an important message to understand for your growth as a person, as a StarCraft player, a competitor, whatever it may be. In order to get better, you do not have to be at your best. You just have to improve your average. Besides that point, I wanted to speak about another topic related to performing at our average, which would be that we cannot force ourselves into another skill level at anything just all of a sudden. I'll tell you what I'm struggling with in game, where I get frustrated at myself for not being good enough to win against the strategy. I was at the end of my session. I think it was the last or second to last game I was going to play. It wasn't the best session, it wasn't the worst session, it was just an average session where I was struggling with different sorts of cheese and I wasn't in the greatest mood. I hadn't kind of fixed my routine, my schedule, stuff like that, and it was just affecting me a little bit more than it normally would mentally. I was playing a Protoss who cannon rushed me and failed. Cussed me out, called me a stupid Zerg, and I felt great, like I had the game in full control. I had an idea that he felt he was in a really bad position in the game and that he would have to continue some all-in strategy or transition into Skytoss as others before him have. I scouted out the Stargates and continued my average plan that I felt was appropriate to beat the strategy. As the game goes on, I continue to throw away units doing what I think is best, and ultimately, I get beat. No karmic justice for the BM my opponent gave me after cheesing me, no great feeling for defending the cheese and winning the game, nothing. Just pure disgust at my inability to win a game that I felt was absolutely in the bag. Nothing but an empty feeling that if I had just done this or that, I could have easily won the game, but I didn't. And why is that? It's because I haven't put in enough of the legwork yet to respond appropriately in real time with haste. Thus, the way I would have beat that strategy, that game in particular, is if I had performed at my absolute best. If I just, by chance, remembered in that moment that one pro game I saw where Zerg had to fight against Skytoss. If I had achieved pure mental clarity, incredible presence of mind, and impeccable execution for my standard. If I had remembered the exact strategy that Cyril implemented when he was playing against Hero and Hero went Skytoss, and he was 40 minutes in the game and he finally, grinded it out and won the game. But I didn't. So what are my options? Go find resources that talk about countering the strategy. So the very next coaching session with HuShang, we went over how we can counter Skytoss as a Zerg player. Now that I have the answer I was looking for, I can practice this method and add it as a tool to my arsenal. It will become my day-to-day play, and sooner or later, it will become my average. Thus, my average will have actually increased, and I will have become better at the game. It's a waste of our energy to wallow in our negative emotions about a loss or about a performance. However, I understand it can be incredibly natural as a person to do this, especially if this is the trained response we have created for ourselves throughout a lifetime. I'm no trained psychologist, so I'm not going to go over how we can change this habit of negative self-talk purely through some sort of scientific method. But I will say that I've suffered greatly from this growing up and well into my teenage years. I haven't solved it entirely and I still go through it. I've become much better at stopping myself from getting into the abyss of negativity, and I do have way better feelings about myself than I did 10 years ago. So I'll share what helped me get through what happens after the disappointment of not performing at my best. What happens is you'll be frustrated either at the person who beat you, or at yourself, or at the game. Whatever's easiest. This is just you coping with the realization that you have not done enough yet to be in a position where this doesn't happen. Sometimes it is simply true that we perform below our average. This is also out of our control for the most part. There are things we can do to try and prevent it, but sometimes it cannot be helped. The first step when the negative self-talk starts is being self-aware enough that you are indeed being hard on yourself or deflecting your frustration in directions that are unproductive. Once you have identified this is happening, you must take a break from what you're doing if at all possible. Just take a step back, watch a 5-minute Artosis video, or just take a walk. Do whatever you think will get your mind off of it. Once you've calmed down, you can start the introspective process of understanding what it was about the game that made you get to this point. Was the opponent being relentlessly rude in chat and that got you going, or was there some strategy that they did that you hate with all your heart? Maybe it was the fact that you couldn't figure out how to stop their 2 Reapers from killing 7 workers, and that snowballed into a defeat. Whatever it is, you must do some analysis on it, because if you don't identify what it was that made you frustrated and get into the negative self-talk in the first place, then the next time it happens, you're just going to fall right back into that cycle. It requires work to change who we are, not just becoming a better Starcraft player. You might be able to improve your mechanics, your understanding of the game, but your mental will catch up to you one way or another, whether it be burnout or unhealthy coping mechanisms that affect your life outside of StarCraft. Purely speaking from experience, by the way, I want to be very clear that I don't have some extensive training as a clinician, psychiatrist, etc. Just a regular dude with a few decades of pain and struggle and life experiences, trying to share with you all what has helped me in my life to improve at a myriad of things. So yeah, guys, thank you for sticking with me thus far if you've made it to this point in the video. Typically, my discussions do go about 10 minutes or so. I don't want to drone on and on for as long as the duration of the 3 games that I usually post. So at this point, I know a lot of people click off, and that's perfectly okay if you're just here for the discussion type of deal. But basically, the rest of the video, it's going to be how we've done it in the past. If you do have ideas for what we can do at this point, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'm obviously up to suggestions. Again, this is only the 4th video I've done, so still experimenting with different things if possible. But yeah, at this point, we're just going to talk about, currently like where we are in StarCraft, how things have been going, updates on all sorts of stuff. So yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, after this session, I had reached my best peak MMR of like 3430. And then I think it was either a couple days after or sometime during the same week, but I ended up hitting 3469, which is like, I think it's a game and a half. Like it's like, I think it's 31 MMR away from Div Diamond 2. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to hit Diamond 2 in like under 600 games, but at this point, when I'm making this video, the new season has started, and the patch is going to be hitting pretty soon. So either we miraculously are going to do better because of the changes, and since we do love Hydralisk, maybe the Hydralisk changes will carry us to Diamond 2 a little bit, but either way, I think we did pretty good for our first real season, even though it was a short one, according to what HuShang has told me and what others have said, is that it wasn't a full season. But I got 390 games in, and I'm going to give you the stats in a second of how the season went exactly. Yeah, so we had 369 games, very nice. We ended on 69 with a nearly 54% win rate. And we started the season at 2780 and peaked at 3469. Again, very nice. I actually don't know how lucky I am to have done this unintentionally, but yeah, we got 269s in there, so pretty good. Average MMR for the season was 3185. Towards the last 2 or 3 weeks, we started averaging closer to 3380 or 3400. But pretty happy that we averaged, not super far into Diamond 1, but we definitely maintained our Diamond 1, or not Diamond 1, sorry, Diamond 3 rank. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, and looking forward to improving on these stats in the next season, which starts today as of this recording. And new patch is looking fun. It's gonna be good. I mean, that's funny. I've made them. With that, I've pretty much given all the updates that I kind of feel like I need to. Still doing coaching with HuShang every Wednesday and Saturday. It's been extremely helpful, and the team's been pretty great so far. A lot of like very supportive discussion that can be had in that Discord and with those guys. So it's been pretty fun. I never had anything like that in Dota. Like I had a coach in Dota, but community is like noticeably more toxic in Dota. But that's kind of like well known. At least it's not Heroes of New Earth, right? So yeah, anyways guys, seriously, if you made it this far in the video, I mean, I can't thank you enough. It's pretty awesome that you want to hear me talk for 15 minutes and look at Diamond 3 gameplay. But yeah, so I mean, at this point, just remember to like, comment, subscribe. Obviously helps us with the algorithm. And it's going to be able to reach a lot more people who might find this sort of stuff kind of useful for where they are in their life. And that's all I really want. Just want to be able to like help out, like give some value to someone who's kind of like in a hard place, or you know, they're trying to like figure out why they are not improving at a pace that they want to. And yeah. Yeah. No more talking. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. I'm gonna leave the rest of this game versus this Protoss player in the background, and I will leave you to hear everything that goes on there. Peace out, guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Maybe I'll make one by the end of this week. Probably not, though, but next week I will definitely get you a video or two. Bye.
Dude, what are you guys doing? Oh my god, I fucking, yeah, I fucked up. Nah, this is insane, dude. This is nuts. We are fucking owning, brother. We are fucking getting after it, cuzzo. Baby, I don't. Okay. Bro, is he really not dead yet? Dude, this is kind of retarded. How is he not fucking dead? What is going on right now? What the fuck, brother? GG, bro. Thank you. Thank you, bro.